welcome everybody. Glad to announce that we are back on the trail in search of living legends. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fountain. It's so good to be back. And of course, I've got my partner and beloved co-host, Mr. Nick Valenti. Nick, how's it going, man? It's great to see you.
It is great to be back. And man, you do look good.
I appreciate that. I feel good.
Out and doing all that good stuff again. Thank God.
Doing it right, doing it right. Finally get the health issue straightened out, you know what I mean? And it just crippled me for months.
Makes a world of difference, I'll tell you right now. It makes a world of difference.
It really does. So yeah, I figure, like you and I were talking about earlier, we'll tell everyone out there we're gonna do things a little different tonight, everybody. Instead of bringing on a witness, Nick and I are gonna knock out this premiere by just having a conversation amongst ourselves about certain, we're gonna maybe tell you a couple stories, maybe talk about some experiences, etc. So you should be in for a treat. Nick and I both have a lot to talk about. So yeah, Nick, why don't you share that little piece of information
we were just talking about before. I was saying that I was down at a Walgreens a couple weeks ago, and a professional basketball player was standing 2 customers behind me, and people were talking to him, and they were oohing and on. And I turned around, and it's this. I don't really know all their names, but he's from the Jersey Nets. The man is 6 foot 10 inches tall, and the reason why I bring this out is because I'm looking at him. I mean, my head is standing, looking straight. I'm 5'10". I'm not a tall person by any means.
Same here.
I'm looking up at him, and it's like, wow. And what I was saying to you is that people call me, email, text message, Facebook message me all the time. And I do meet, and they're telling me, where can I go to find a Bigfoot? Where can I go to find a dog man? I want to find Sasquatch. I want to. No, you don't.
No,
you don't. Dog man generally touts around 7.5 feet tall, and Jeremiah, it's better than I do. Sasquatch goes what?
A big male, 9 feet on the average. A big male. Stacy saw one that was 10'3".
10 feet. And what was it? Last year, I was told by the head of North American Dogman Project, my boss, because I'm the Region 3 director. He called me up one night and he says, listen, you got to get down to this lady's house. She lives in Highland, New York.
Yeah.
Actually is only like a little bit over 3 hours from me because I'm in Jersey. And normally I don't like to go. I think I told you the story already on one of your shows, maybe. I got 2 of my guys to go with me. And these are all former Tier 1 operators.
Sure.
We jocked up and we went there. Now, I don't like going out there in the field with less than 7. Me and 6 other people, 7. We're covering all the bases. We're looking up, we're looking down, left, right, back, and and I only went because Jody says, look, you gotta go because this lady is hysterical. He says she's calling me on the phone, she's Facebook messaging me. I mean, it was like crazy. I had spoken to her before, and Jody had spoken to her several times, and she said that she had a dog man out there in her backyard in Highland, New York. Now, normally I don't give the area, but I'm going to give the area right now because I'm going to tell you, this turned out not to be a dog man. She took photographs, and you could see a little bit of a face, but you could see the eye shine.
Mm-hmm.
She pointed out we got there at night. It was like 1:15, 1:20 at night, in the morning, actually, you would call it, I guess, 1:15 a.m. Spoke to her. She showed me the pictures. She had them blown up. And she says, see? And I could see it. I could see the eye shine and I could see the outline. And she showed me the tree. The tree had no branches. I'm going to tell you something. We measured it. We took a tape measure out, a 25-foot tape measure. We snaked it right up the tree, the one that she told us about. It had no branches. So I can't have anybody telling me, oh, that was an owl, or that was a mountain lion, or that was a raccoon. No, it wasn't. Because there was no branch on this tree where she took that picture at night. And this thing was 50 the eyes were 15 feet up.
Wow.
Now, one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name, but he's an author that D.A. Roberts and I interviewed last year. He was in Alaska and he found a 15-footer. So it's not uncommon. But what I'm trying to get across is these people that call me up or message me and say, hey, I want to go out and I want to find a cryptid. I want to find a dog man or you're kidding me? You
No.
come across a 10, 12, 15-foot Sasquatch out there and
What are you going to do?
holy,
You know?
that's what I say. Now, what is your game plan? What are you going to do if it gets aggressive? Sasquatch, depending on the type,
Right.
there's what, 11 different types of Sasquatch, I believe.
That's what I've always, that's always been my theory. Yeah.
And I don't know if they added to it, but there's 7 different types of dog man. But depending on what kind of Sasquatch we're talking about out there, it's some of them just will leave you alone if you leave it alone.
Yes.
Some of them get aggressive, like the Dugway. That means face eater. You know, the Algonquin Indians, the First Nation people of Canada, who my cousin-in-law is one.
Yeah.
Cousin married one, and she lives up there in Canada. I've had many a conversation with him over a cup of coffee, because he loves the kind of coffee I bring up there. As soon as I get through customs, of course, after they check the coffee, I tell them the hell I have to go through to bring him some of this stuff up there. But we've had many a conversation, and he says the Gugway, the face eaters, his tribe, they just try to stay away from those areas. But I mean, what I'm getting back to is people, Jeremiah, they want to find these things, and they're not even organized.
No.
I say, what do you go out there with? Well, I have my flashlight on my camera phone, and I have a backpack with water and some snacks. And, oh, really? I'm sorry, but the number one thing I want you to go out there with is bear spray. You know, even above a flashlight, for crying out loud. And you should have more than one flashlight. You know, 2 is one,
Absolutely.
1 is none. You know, I usually have a couple of headlights that go on the helmet. I generally have 3 flashlights. I'm not having extra batteries. I have the flashlights already loaded because it's just, you know, too long to go taking it off, shoving batteries in and everything like that. So I have 2 headlamps, 3 flashlights minimum. Oh man, I don't know. What do you think about people that want to go out there like that? Just
I think they're nuts. I mean, you and I both know damn well. I mean, first of all, they go out there. I'll say this first. I don't go out there with any less than a group of experienced guys. My wife, who's got a lot of experience as well. You know, we all go out together, and we don't go light-handed. We've always got our gear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we jocked up that night when we went there, and I'm sorry, but I belong to a no-kill organization. We don't hunt.
Same here. Yep.
But you have a right. I'm sorry. Anybody want to debate me on this? Call up anytime and I'll talk to you. You have a right to go into the forest and come back home alive.
Yes, you do.
There's no reason for you to go out into a forest and get ripped up by something. And it doesn't mean you're going to come across a dog man, a Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, depending on what side of the border you're on. You may not meet up with a cryptid. You might meet up with a bear. You might
or a moose.
Ogre.
I mean,
a coyote may be smallish compared to a bear, but it'll attack.
It will.
They're aggressive.
Damn right. And I don't want to get trampled by a 1,800-pound moose either.
Heck, well, where you are, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I usually ruck 3 days a week. I got a 75-pound ruck pack I put on my back, and I do 4 miles. And believe it or not, where I am, we have a lot of deer. And
yes.
I was a little concerned the other night because one side of the road, there was about 12 deer. And on my side of the road, there was like 8 or 9. You had a buck Must have been about 3 years old because I mean the antlers were pretty big. And then on across the street there was another buck. So I mean, you get run through by one of those things just in a panic. They won't attack you. But
Absolutely.
you know, if a car comes by and they start running, I don't want to get hit. So
Yeah.
I had my light on. I had a second headlamp. I put that light on and I start talking real loud. And I
Sure.
start talking, say, hey guys, I'm over here. Don't be running, you know, don't worry. Nobody's going to do nothing as I'm walking through the area because I don't want to be trampled on. So I mean,
You.
and what else do you have out there in the woods?
We've got cats up here. You know, we get cats. We got big black bear. You know, and I don't think they're quite as big as where you're at, but they're good size. I think people underestimate how aggressive black bears can get.
Oh my
If
God,
you
especially
might run into a mama black bear with cubs, you might as well kiss yourself goodbye. Yeah.
a few years ago up in Gillette, New Jersey. I was going through a mountain road over there and on a semicircular driveway. And mind you, there's a house every 60 feet, there's a house. And
Right.
they had a circular driveway. As I'm driving down the road in my Jeep Wrangler, I look to my left and there is a bear, 650 pounds, black bear. He was on all fours. He looked to me to be a teenager, Jeremiah.
Yep. Yep.
And he was just standing there. His back, I mean, the fur looked beautiful. Looked like somebody just brushed this thing. Look like he's
Yeah.
pet, but I mean, he was huge.
Huge.
I had
That's big.
here because I'll just kick it and you know I'm out of there. But I was concerned, what is a black bear doing here in such a populated area?
Right.
So
You guys have a ton of them down there, don't you? I mean, Jersey.
well, I've seen in my time that I've been up when I used to live in that area in Morris County because we're not too far away from New York,
Yeah. Yeah.
stateside. In my time, I've seen 4 black bear, but this was the biggest that I've ever
Big.
seen. And just a quickie funny story. Well, it wasn't really funny to me at the time, but
Right.
I pulled up the road a piece and I'm looking at him and he's just standing there on all fours, hanging out in a driveway, somebody's circular drive. I called the police and I said, I just want to let you know that you have a very large black bear. And I gave him the address and it's just standing there. And he goes, well, was it aggressive? I said, I didn't go up to it to find out. I mean, what kind of dumbass, excuse my French, dumbass question is that? Was it aggressive? Oh, nice little puppy bear. Yeah.
Let me go check for you, buddy. Hold on a second.
Oh, yeah, let me get out. You know, I was like, shit. I had my, I mean, I always travel with a couple cans of bear spray. So I already had that out on the seat next to me. I was going to work that morning and I just couldn't believe, oh yeah, was it being aggressive? Yeah, all right. I said, I really just need to get somebody up here and, you know, make sure he doesn't tear into somebody's, because, you know, people think that their front door is going to stop a bear.
Oh God.
A bear is what? About 10 times stronger than a human male.
At least, yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen this in person. I was about 40 feet, 50 feet away, maybe. And I saw what a bear did to a BMW door when the lady in the car is beeping the horn up in Bernardsville, New Jersey, at a black bear. She's beeping the horn. This thing got aggravated. It came up to the side and swiped at her car and took the sheet metal right off.
Blah.
And she's like, ah, luckily he didn't do anything else. I mean, I called my partner at the time on the radio and I said, Bill, get up here. We got a black bear here and it just attacked this lady's car. But after she's blowing the horn, he goes, just leave it alone. He goes, it'll go away on its own. It's just probably looking for food. But what I'm trying to get back to is bear, coyote, mountain lion. What else? You've got spiders that may not kill you. Have you ever seen a wolf spider? It's the size of my hand.
I have.
They've got eyes all over the place, right?
And they lay a nasty bite.
What else? I always tell people, always look up. Make sure you look up, right?
Yep.
Because a mountain lion can jump 14 feet.
And 20 feet out.
Yeah. And a bear can climb a tree. You know, so I mean, they're there, but always look up. But besides looking up, look down. Don't lean against a tree unless you know what you're. You might have a snake. You know,
Absolutely. And
I mean,
people don't realize in our area in the north, you guys must have timber rattlers down there too, right?
mm-hmm.
We've got them. We've got a ton of them up here. Copperheads. People don't realize that. They think the north.
Here you got blue snakes. I wish we had king snakes because those things kill, you know, rattlers and
right
copperheads and stuff. But we don't have them here. North Carolina has most of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I
Casey
mean,
Casey got bit by one.
Oh,
at first she thought it was a coral, and then as it was slithering away, you know, because they're very similar, you know, and it ended up being a king snake. Thank God, you know. But yeah, I mean,
still gonna panic you, you know. I mean, most people don't know what it looks like. I mean, there's a difference. If you look at the snake, you better look at it because you want to tell the people at the hospital so they can identify poisonous, non-poisonous.
Right.
You know, tell them where the eyes are. Tell them if it's got diamonds on it or what the colors are or whatever, you know, stuff like that. This way you'll save your own life. And the only cure for snake bite is not cutting it open and sucking out the poison.
No, God. Oh, wives' tale.
Immobilize the joint, immobilize the person, and get them out of there. And anti-venom. That's the only thing that's going to save your life.
That's it. That's it. What do you think? Let me ask you a question, Nick. You think the you know, bears and the cryptids ever get into it?
I can't imagine where they would not.
And I agree.
Because you know something, a grizzly bear. Now I've been out in Washington State. I've been in Colorado. Oh God, I've been up in Canada, and I went with a buddy of mine in Washington State bear hunting. Brown bear are up there. Kodiak bear. You got grizzly, brown bear. Now black bear may not mess with you, but a brown bear, a grizzly. Oh God, they're aggressive.
Absolutely.
You know, Kodiak bear, they are aggressive.
Yes.
I'm not even going to talk about the, you know, the polar caps over there where they got polar bears. I mean,
oh God.
You know, generally they're ginormous. They're even bigger than a Kodiak bear or you know, brown bear. But I mean, brown bear are aggressive, and I can't imagine maybe a dog man coming around or a Sasquatch, and you've got a brown bear mother with her cubs. Oh man, I can imagine. You know, there was a YouTube show about a brown bear named Captain, and he used to be around these people's home. I think it was in Kentucky, and he had a fight with a dog man.
Really? Okay.
Because they saw that Captain's ear was ripped off, and he had all kinds of tear marks on him and everything. Now, I think the dog man has the advantage in height and speed, you know, but they both have massive claws.
Absolutely.
Oh, but I guess Captain sort of the bear sort of took a liking to the people that lived in this home that was in the wooded area.
Sure.
And they used to leave out food for him and everything. And as the story goes, the dog man was in the area. Captain was gone. Captain smelled it over a period of days and everything. And one night they just got into it. And the next morning they actually saw Captain, you know, about 20, 30, 40 feet away. His ear was ripped off, but he was still alive and everything. So, you know, and there was a lot of blood all over the place.
Oh, I bet. It makes me wonder, Nick, if, you know, when these big predators, you know, cryptids, not whether they're cryptids or not, bear on bear, bear on Sasquatch, whatever. If after a while into the scrap, if they both say, you know, in their heads, okay, if I get too torn up here, it's going to cause an infection and it's going to kill me. So it makes you wonder if they ever just walk away from each other.
Yeah, something like that is something. You know, you mentioned bear on bear? You know what the predator of a black bear is? A brown bear. They actually hunt, kill, and eat black bear.
I did not know that.
Now, I was out with a buddy of mine and we were deer hunting and we saw a bear where there should have never been a brown bear. It was a black bear, but nature gives it camouflage. And
Right.
the black bear actually had brownish hair, but you
Yeah.
could tell he was a black bear because around the face it didn't change color.
Right.
Let me ask you a question because see, I'm not a hunter. I don't go hunting. I go with my buddies as their backup.
Right.
I watch their back so that they don't, don't get surprised.
Right.
Deer. I noticed that we have two different color type of deer around here,
Sure.
depending on the type of the year. One is a really good, nice looking beige colored deer. That's generally what you see.
Yes.
And this time of the year, I'm noticing like a grayish colored deer. Is that such a thing?
Yeah. Well, I see it up here too in the Adirondacks. When winter comes around, their coat kind of changes to that grayish.
So it's blending in with the tree then, because trees are like gray. And
I never thought about that, but that makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know, but I see it every year like clockwork. And in the summertime up here, they're almost a red.
It's friggin' amazing how
it is. It really is. It really is amazing.
Wow.
Jesus, it said something other than that. Oh yeah, back to the whole dogman thing. Now, what's the biggest report of a dogman you've ever heard, as far as height?
I am going to say, I'm trying to recall because I was just going over some old files. I have a personal encounter and I measured it out the next day against the stop sign, and it was close to 7 feet 7 inches. The biggest dog man that I've read about topped 8 feet 1 inches tall. Now this is going according to what the man saw by his eyes against a tree and a branch. So he went and measured it about a week later with a ton of friends who had a lot of firearms, and they went back to the tree where he went. He's saying 8 feet 1 inches tall. That's a super alpha male.
I don't think people realize how large that really is.
I wish they would go to an NBA basketball game and look at these guys because they're even short compared to a tall man. It's like, what are you gonna do? I mean, I go out there and I'm jacked up and I'm totally armed. I've got things that people wouldn't even think of using out there. I've got my electronic flashbangs. They put out a high pitched tone with a lot of flashing light. If you ever look, where is one? I don't have one down here to show you, but if you ever look at a flashlight and it's got a feature that flashes, right?
Yeah.
If you ever look at one of those, I'm going to tell you, it's disorienting. So I guess that's where the flashbang comes in handy. The electronic, I'd rather use the real live ones where they give you 10 flashes and 10 bangs, but there's a fire hazard with that if you're in the woods. So I carry these balls that'll go off, with a piercing sound and a lot of flashes.
What about like an M80? Would that work as well?
An M80 would be, well,
like a big firecracker.
Yeah, I would say an M80, but you'd want about 10 of those suckers going off one after another.
Okay.
Another thing I carry is this here. This is one of the whistles. It's an ultrasonic whistle, and it's 146 decibels. Your old partner Gary, he measured it one time, and he measured it to be. I told him, oh no, this goes to 136. He measured it to 146. I guess it depends on how much air you blow into it, but that'll disorient, a bear. I've tried it on deer, and I'm going to tell you, they don't like that sound.
No.
Speaking of deer, it's funny. They think they're so camouflaged, but when I'm walking, I love to walk at nighttime, and I have a light on my cap, or I'll wear one of those headlamps. A lot of times I wear a red headlamp, and I'm going to tell you, I could pick them out instantly.
Sure.
Eye shine is right out there.
It's right out there. I think they're a hell of a lot easier to see at nighttime than they are during the day.
Yeah, that's why it's illegal in New Jersey to hunt deer at night.
Same here.
They call
Yep.
it deer jacking. And
Yeah, deer jacking. You're going to jail for it.
I'm
for
not a
sure.
hunter. I don't do that, but wow, they're out there. And as I'm walking past the park, I shine my red headlamp. It's got about 900 lumens. And even though it's red, not white, I shine it out into the field and you see all these eyes looking at you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little disconcerting, man. I'm telling you,
It is.
I saw about 50 sets of eyes out there. And I was like, oh, oh, they're all low to the ground, you know? So I guess they were just sitting down and stuff. And
Right.
woo,
You know, we got into last night, and you actually brought this to my attention. And once I thought about it, it made sense because, back in the day, and I've said this, we've had this conversation before, but I'll say it again for maybe new listeners out there. But, back in the day, I was a straight, I thought these things, as far as Sasquatch goes, were some sort of primate, blah, blah, blah. Now, I've had so much weird happenings over the last 5 years with not just Sasquatch, but other things as well.
yeah,
And there's always 95% of the time I've experienced some sort of light before,
yep,
during,
yeah.
or afterwards. I mean, you must hear that, being a dogman specialist all the time.
Well, I had said on a couple of shows, I think on yours also,
Yeah.
but it bears repeating. I did a study of reports, and not only did I do paper report studies, but
Right.
internet studies. I also called people up and spoke to them. I did face-to-face. I traveled to other states, face-to-face studies. I topped it out at about 486, but then I just kept getting like emails and I came across more and more. The study was this: for Dogman or Sasquatch, if the person who encountered or had the encounter saw a light before, after, or before and after their encounter with a Dogman or a Sasquatch. Now, my reports, I believe, topped out it was 486 at the time, and then I continued it after I cut the 6-month mark off. I continued it to well over 600 reports. Still, 92% of the time, the people reported a light before, a light after, or before and after the encounter.
Yeah.
One gentleman in particular from Virginia, he saw a light in the sky, an orb, and he's looking towards the light, and he saw a large body. And he believes, well, I believe it also from what he was describing and how big. He believes it was a Sasquatch. I believe it was also because it was doing wood knocks.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sasquatch moved in a very easy manner, but fast manner across a field. And he continued in his car on the road because the road was paralleling the field. And when the road stopped and bent off, and he was just observing this creature, the creature suddenly, that was it, no more. I mean, it was a bit, he didn't see it perfectly, like he could see hair and ears and teeth or anything, but he could see the full shape. And he's telling me that from his eye, it was approximately 9 feet tall. So a small one as far as Sasquatch goes, but nonetheless. And what he said was, as the road turned, he pulled over, and he was kind of questioning himself whether he should pull over or not. He was by himself, nobody with him. He didn't have any firearms, didn't have anything to protect himself, except maybe put his car in gear and leave. But he was watching this creature out in the field. And like I said, it moved real easily through the field, but fast. And he did see a light before. That's what attracted him. Now, here's the kicker. It went near a tree, took 2 steps away, and that was it. He didn't see it anymore. But what he did see About 30 to 40 seconds later, is in the sky off to the right, away from where the original orb was. And when I question him, when I question people, I try to get them to think. And I said to him, "Are you a football fan?" He goes, "Are you kidding?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, a football field is 100 yards, 300 feet. So I said, how far do you think the first orb was from the second orb that you saw in the sky when that Sasquatch disappeared in your mind?" And he's telling me that it was 9 football fields away. So the Sasquatch went across this field, kept going, and then another orb in the sky, and it's gone.
It's gone.
So, like I said, well over 600, people that I either spoke to, read about, emailed, whatever. Well over a 6-month period of time, they did see that, and the percentage was about 92% of the time.
92%.
And
I'll raise the percentage a little bit for you. I think I sent you the long time ago when we first met. I sent you a video.
Right, I have it.
Yep, when Stacy and I are looking into that field, and you see the canine faces, right, and they split into different directions. But before we noticed the faces, there was a blue light that came down, went like that, and then it took off. Well, then all of a sudden, you see these things, and they're walking, and one of them actually had an orb about 6 inches above its snout as it was walking. All of a sudden, this light comes back down again, and they're gone.
Yours was one of the stranger cases, because out of all the people I spoke to, out of all of the mail, well over 600, there's only 3 times where anybody said it was a bluish light. Most of the times it was a bright white. And that was something. But yeah, I remember that going back and forth. Around in the video that you took, and it was like, what the heck? Now people got to understand, you live in upstate New York, close to Canada.
Well, this was in our spot, the spot you and I mutually know well when we were down there. You know what I'm. You know the location I'm getting.
Yeah. We don't, and people, the reason why we don't give away locations is for your protection alone.
That's right.
A lot of times we will not say where we went, where something was seen, because like I said, you come across one, what's your game plan? Tell me what you're going to do.
What you're going to do.
It's not like we are such ultra, professionals and all this, but we are professional enough to know what to go out there with and protect ourselves. And I just don't want people wandering around saying, "Oh, Jeremiah saw one out there, or Nick saw something," and we're going to go there, and then something actually finds you. And,
then we got to live with that. Right. But I couldn't believe it. And you mentioned the white. Well, the one actually above its nose was white. Yeah. The light that came down before and after was blue. It just blew my mind.
I remember that because I threw that up on my 65-inch screen. I used computer applications to clean it up. I had programs that cleaned it up, and I watched it maybe 6 times. It was like over and over and over. I couldn't. I mean, it's a giant screen, and it just couldn't believe it. I mean, but what I was trying to get at before is you live way upstate New York.
Yes.
You're Canada, and you live in a veritable hotspot of Sasquatch.
Yes.
And
yes.
You got Dogman up there, but
yes, we do.
It's like, and I mean, you personally have come across infrasound where it's affected you, and I believe at least one time you had mind speak. It was telling you something.
Yes, female.
Yeah, these are things people gotta take into consideration. I mean, that's what I always ask people when I interview them. Whether it be a Dogman account, a Sasquatch account, or doesn't matter. I mean,
or whatever. Yeah.
I was in West Virginia a few years back, and I interviewed I was going to say a lot of people. By a lot, I mean like over 24 people who have had an occurrence to come across a Mothman. these fellows were electricians, and they were working in a building that was not complete. It didn't have all the facade up yet, but it had the internal workings. They were running lines. It was at nighttime, and they came across a Mothman. And
Wow.
I asked them, I asked them the same thing I ask everybody, about height, the weather, was it warm? Was it not? Was it raining? Did you have an occasion to be paralyzed? Did you have an occasion to hear something in your mind speak?
Yeah.
And that infrasound is something that comes, you can actually, normal people can experience it if they go to a zoo and
Hmm.
like the tiger or the lion cage.
Absolutely.
Oh, or the giant apes. If a giant ape feels like it doesn't like you, the roar it would put out, it goes right through your chest. I could
It's unreal.
yeah, I could describe it all day long, but unless you feel it and you experience it. But I mean,
Yeah.
I know you got hit by it up there.
I did. It made me nauseous. It put me right down on the ground, Nick. And as I'm turning around, I see a brown flash just run by, bolt by me, and that all of a sudden I throwing up, and it put me right down, and I was down for a while. I had to have my partners I was with come over. I'm screaming to them, come over here, get over here, please. I don't know what's going on here. And they actually had to help me out and bring me into the truck, because it was brutal. And it's not just that mild nausea, it's that
Yeah, deep
that
down.
deep down guttural vomiting. I don't know. It's bizarre.
What did it do to your brain at the time?
Just rattled it.
Really
It rattled it hard. Rattled it hard. I even the next day I had a wicked
took a hook
headache.
to the temple type of
Pretty
route.
much, pretty much, or a tight shin kick to the head. Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a
Oh,
wicked headache the next day still.
oh man. You know what I think? Because I remember that time, and I remember that whole incident that you were telling me about, and because I did question you, I was thinking later on
Yeah.
that possibly it was a Sasquatch, and it hit you with the infrasound because it had children with it, youths.
I would agree.
Because it probably, you had more than one person with you, right?
There was four of us.
All right, there was four of you. And
Four
it
grown men. Yep.
probably felt threatened.
I
for
would
its
agree.
kids.
Yep.
For her kids, probably. I'm thinking it was a female, and she hit you and hit you hard, and you said it went by you. So
Yep.
I'm thinking they just got out of there. Did you guys have firearms at the time?
We did. We did.
They
We had
know.
fire.
They know.
They know. And you know what? And I know they had. She had little ones with her, because I'm sitting there. I was about my partner, one of my partners, and I split up. We're about 100 feet away, and he said, and I'm hearing something over in this corner here, and I'm bedded down, and he's yelling to me, Jeremiah, get over here, get over here. So it was the pine needles, how soft they are, and they don't hold a print for very long. I walk over there, and there's an 8-inch track, and that little guy had gotten in between us without us even noticing.
Oh.
So so she definitely had some younger, Sasquatch with her. I would definitely agree with you on that one. And we watched it just disappear in front of our eyes. I shouldn't say disappear, but because of the pine needles, you know.
And she hit you
Hard.
with a really heavy, hard infrasound, because she probably got panicked.
She did. I'm
Maybe
sure she did.
Maybe normally she wouldn't have hit you with that hard.
Right.
You guys panicked her. She saw four guys. And,
yep. And this was in a new area. So I wasn't out back on my property where we have the group, they know us and whatnot, but the couple other areas I researched, they tend to get a little testy every now and then, but I get what she was doing. I get what she was doing. I would have protected my young too,
Oh,
absolutely. So what do you think about a full-grown male Sasquatch, full-grown male dog man getting into it?
Oh my God. Full grown Sasquatch. So you're talking about maybe a 9.5, 10 footer.
9.5, 10 footer, yeah.
I mean, you got to remember those things are toting in around. God. Now, the reason why I'm going to quote a weight is because you can tell by the indent in the ground
Yes.
how heavy that thing is. And some Sasquatch researchers that I've come across, that I've had many a conversation with, saying something that big is going to tote around 1,500 pounds. Now,
I would have,
just,
that's
just to,
big.
just to break away from that thought real quick, but stay on it. Going back to the 15-footer that was in Highland, New York, I think you and I were talking about this. We're talking 3,000 pounds.
I would say so.
15
foot.
A 3,000 pound creature, 15 feet tall. What do you do against something like that?
Nothing.
Now, back to your question, a 9.5 foot, 10-foot Sasquatch, about 1,500 pounds. A dog man, say 7.5 feet, 7 foot 6 inches, probably weighing in about 650.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking a heavyweight against a middleweight here, and the Sasquatch is going to have the advantage in strength, raw strength and power. The dog man, they are awfully fast. So
fast, right?
Advantage in speed. We're talking 5-6 inch claws on the dog man, club-like long arms on the Sasquatch. Oh man, unless he gets around his back and cuts his throat or his neck, or maybe if they have enough wherewithal to hamstring, a Squatch. Yeah. I mean, he ain't gonna go toe to toe.
No way.
Not gonna go way. Toe. That's gonna be a losing battle. And you know what? Sasquatch like to pick things up. Probably pick up a friggin' 10-inch log that's about 8 feet long and swing it. So he's going to use the dog man's not going to use the weapon.
No. I was interested to hear what your opinion was on that. I'd have to agree with you on that one. Have you ever heard anyone describe? You've done a lot of dog man interviews, and the reason I ask, because this is kind of what happened to Stacy and I. A very arrogant look, what's the word I'm looking for? When you actually see them, they catch your eye, and you're looking at them for a second, and they look real arrogant and real,
like they
the
don't
one we
care.
saw had its arm up against a tree, just looking at us like a real arrogant look.
My one and only encounter, well, I had an encounter with D.A. Roberts when we went to LBL in Kentucky last year. It wasn't a full-blown encounter, but we drove by one. What we think was one anyway. My encounter from about 30 feet away was he was totally indifferent to me.
Okay.
So just, not that he was smug or anything like that. He just didn't care that I was there. It was
I guess that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like, here I am, 7.5 feet plus tall, 650 pounds, he had a deer in his right hand, part of a deer, eating it, just didn't care I was there. I mean, I was insignificant. Now, I've had well over 3 dozen reports of people saying the same thing. They came on one, it paid them no attention. It didn't even look at them.
Yeah.
And they didn't, in other words, they didn't have any fear.
No, none whatsoever.
No fear whatsoever, saying, I don't know where they get that from. It's funny you should mention that, but I don't know where they get that attitude from. But
and it's odd because the Sasquatch seems to be more weary.
Yeah.
Through my own experience anyway. Other people might have a different opinion, but they seem to be a little more weary.
They're wary of you, and they're more cautious because I don't think they really want to get into it. Now I don't either. That's most of the Sasquatch. Now you go to Dugway in the wild, it's going to attack. That's what the Algonquin Indians that I've spoken to.
Absolutely.
I mean, a Dugway is an aggressive. It'll rip your neck right off. it'll tear you apart. Um, then there's the I believe the Genosquatch.
Genosqua, yeah.
Genosquatch, if I'm pronouncing that right. That's the one that it gets its fur wet and covers itself in mud and rocks and everything. And
Yeah, they called it the stone giant because it would
like
roll around.
almost.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Now, a lot of I got interested in that one time, and I mean, there's a lot of different stories why they do it, but one of them I found, well, not one of the stories, but many of the stories I found said that they do it because they have intertribal battle. It's like putting on armor.
Yeah.
And if they don't have
Right.
the armor to go against, one of their own tribesmen and he has it, they're going to get injured and they're going to lose. I don't
Sure.
know. I've never seen it, but that's what I understand. But they're supposed to be aggressive. So, I mean,
Aggressive.
it's like people don't wish for something if you're not prepared. It's like, wow.
No.
Oh, and another big thing I found in my research on it, and I've never found anything less saying I'm wrong, is that Sasquatch and Dogman do not like dogs.
They despise. I know the Sasquatch despise them.
Oh my God.
I mean, up here, I probably told you this in the past, but they kill coyotes just to kill them. But then I've heard other people tell stories about how they run with them and chase deer with them. But up, you'll hear the coyotes start their yipping and yelling. Okay,
Yeah.
The noises they make, and then you'll hear a howl. Okay, and they get it very, very close, but they always mess it up a little bit, and that's how I'm pretty good with Sasquatch vocalizations. They always screw it up a little bit, and that's how I'll say, okay, there's one about to, and then everything will go quiet. So that kind of tells me it just might have dealt with a couple of them. I know through experience, they despise coyotes. They despise them, and they despise dogs. Apparently, like you were saying, the dog men do as well.
Oh yeah, they will kill a dog. I had a case that we went on a little over a year ago, and I went up there with a full-blown team, totally jocked up. And this was up in New York State, well, just below, not totally all the way up New York State, but halfway up, coming over the Jersey border. It was a very rich area. I shouldn't even say that, but the homes were built on 10 acres. The homes were encased in high walls. This one house that we went to had a 12-foot brick wall.
Yeah.
It had a Belgian Malinois. I believe I may have told you about this. The Malinois was taken out of the backyard. Mind you, the place is locked down. You can't, I mean, you got a brick wall. Now, a couple of people told me, oh, it could have been a mountain lion. A mountain lion can jump 14 feet, yes, but it can't grab onto an 80-pound dog and jump back over.
No way.
Climb a tree with one in their mouth, but they can't jump a 12-foot wall with one. No, that's not happening.
No.
The dog was found a couple of blocks away by the guy's neighbor, and it was ripped right down the middle. I mean, totally torn apart. This is a Belgian Malinois
that can fight like a.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough dog.
Dog was trained, purchased, and trained to protect the two kids in the family, and it was out in the backyard doing its business, and that was it. They didn't see the dog, and that I guess the wife was into cryptozoology, and she put one and one together. I was a member of one of the New York State group, and she contacted them. They contacted us, and we went there. But this was terrible. We saw it. We have pictures of it and everything. It was totally torn apart.
Yeah.
Now, getting back on the totally torn apart dog, I want to talk about a coyote that had its head ripped from its body. I don't mean, a claw mark. I mean, popped from its body.
Pop straight off.
I didn't see this myself personally. I wasn't there, but I had a fellow call me. He was from Texas, and he saw and photographed and told me about the whole thing. I mean, there was blood in the area. He saw the body of a coyote, and then 10, 12 feet away was the head. It was just ripped off. A car runs it over. It's not going to rip the head off. The head
No.
off. Now I'm saying, what the heck is that in Texas? You know, what kind of Sasquatch do they have in Texas? You know, or what the heck could have done something like that? This was in the western part of Texas, so maybe it bump it up against into another state where they came from, but that was interesting. I didn't get a chance.
It is.
I didn't get a chance at the time to, you know, gather up a team and go out there and investigate it.
Right.
This was that was amazing. I mean, can you imagine the strength it would take?
Yeah. Well, the power it would take. I mean, the gentleman, I'm not going to say his name. It's not my place right now, but the gentleman I used to work with back in the day, you know who I'm talking about. He told me a story. He was on an investigation out in one of the western states. Okay. And every night they were getting an encounter. Okay. There was 20 some different Sasquatch spotted. Every night they would come into town.
This is our ranger friend, right? Our former.
Yes. No.
Oh.
A different one. I'll tell you after.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean the western state guy?
Yes, up in the
Up. Oh, I know what you mean.
Okay, I figured you did.
Yep.
But he was walking a trail one day, and they were hearing the coyotes at night doing the, you know, like I was just describing to you. They would start their yipping and yelling. Then all of a sudden, the owl would come. They'd screw it up a little. Then you'd hear everything go quiet. Now he came upon a stack of dead coyotes, 5 feet tall.
Woo.
But here's the kicker. Some of those quote unquote coyotes in that pile had dog collars on.
Oh.
So some of them were actual domestic dogs, and they were ripped like something had taken their jaws and pried the jaws apart.
That is not the first time I've heard it, not just only from that individual and you.
Yep.
But there's a lot of other cases where they've had that, where the Squatch just do not like domestic dogs or coyotes.
No.
They'll even go after the wolves. You know?
They do. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and you know, not to get off the dog topic, but I don't know if I ever told you this story, and if you don't mind, let me know if I have, because I'd like to know what this thing is, Nick. You're a little more educated than me with the, you know, the other cryptids, but this gentleman around my area, okay, Vietnam vet, tougher than nails, okay, not scared of a damn thing. Now he would go deep into the Adirondacks, you know, in my area. I'm not going to say exactly where, but he would go for a week at a time. And he felt, being a Vietnam infantry vet, he felt as if he was being tracked.
Oh, he would know.
He would know. Yeah, you know better than anyone. He would know if he was being tracked. He had, remember the old, I forget what they were. They came in a 30-06, the 308, and a 270. They were the 7400 series Remington semi-automatic, or was it the 7600?
7600.
Yep. Well, he had one in the 270. Well, finally, and I think they held a 5-round magazine, something like that. But anyway, on the 4th night of him being out, he finally looks. He turns around, and there's this creature, not a dog man, from what I've been told, not a dog man, not a Sasquatch. It had the head of a horse, okay, but it was massive, on like a bluish in color, like a blue pit bull.
Yeah.
Almost.
Right.
And it started to charge him, and he kept his composure, which that would have been hard, you know. And he picked up he had his rifle in his hands, and he gave that thing 5 rounds with that 270, and it finally put it down. Took 5 rounds from a 270. So he decided that, okay, I don't know what the hell this thing is, but I want to find out. Took them a couple days with four-wheelers and all to get this thing out of the woods.
How heavy you think it was?
Well, I'll get to that part in a second. It's going to blow your mind. So he finally gets back, and this was told to me by a guy I know that was there, and my dad knows this individual too. So this was told to me by a gentleman that's around my age, and he was there at the time. He was his next door neighbor, and they see them dragging this thing, okay? And they put it on the ground, and the dogs, you know, when there's a dead body on the ground, dogs will sniff around it. And
oh yeah, yeah.
They didn't want any part of this thing. They did not want any part of it.
Right.
The hide on this thing, from what I was told, it almost looked sickly. The kids were taking sticks, poking it, and the sticks were going right through the hide.
Wow.
Like,
been sick or diseased.
Exactly. But it had the head of a horse, eyeballs on the side of its head like a human being that looked like human eyes, long canines, massive hands, 2-3 times the size of a man's hands, had long claws. And here's another kicker, which I had a hard time with at first, but we've heard weirder stuff. It had hoofs.
Huh.
And I'm not talking like a horse's hoof, but like a 3-pronged hoof almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So they brought it to there was a butcher in the area, an old butcher that had since retired, but he still had his old cattle scale that they would weigh the beef on.
Right.
And I think they went up to like 1,000 pounds. You know, the scales did. So they got this thing up on the scale somehow. I was spared that detail. I don't remember what he said, but they got it up on there, and it wrapped it all the way around the 1,000-pound mark, and all the way back around again.
Whoa!
So you're talking, you know, just about 2,000 pounds. So he convinces. His wife convinces him that he better call the DEC.
Oh, that was the first and last mistake.
Exactly. So the DEC shows up. Now, they had a flatbed truck already. Okay. Now, why on earth would they show up with a flatbed? So they show up, and one guy gets out, and he's got a regular clothes on. And from what I was told, and I agree with it, is he was probably the biologist or whatever. And then there was 2 DEC guys in uniform. So he asked this gentleman, what in the hell is this thing? He said, well, put it this way, it's not supposed to, this is something it's not supposed to exist here. And that's all he told him. Now,
just here?
Right, exactly.
Any place, maybe.
Any place, exactly. But before the DEC showed up, he was smart enough to cut off a piece of the claw on the hand, and he took a Polaroid of it. And I have been dying for years to call this guy up. My father keeps telling, don't do it, leave him alone. Due to the fact that this guy had always had long blonde hair, long blonde beard. Over that ear, Nick, he turned completely white. Wow. Because it traumatized him that much.
More
What in the hell could that thing have been?
Well, I got to ask you, was it bipedal or on all fours?
It was, from what I understand, when it was charging him, it started on 2 legs, then it dropped to 4s, got back up again, and that's when he started peppering.
First of all, that ammo that he put into it, the bullet, that's a big bullet.
It's a screamer.
So he must have hit it. He must have hit it in either brain or in the heart area.
Yes.
And he had 5 shots. He maybe had one in the chamber too, I hope.
He could have had.
Oh, you know, you really gotta. I know he doesn't want to be bothered, but before the man passes away, remember he's a Vietnam vet. Before he goes, you gotta maybe go up there and just say hi to him and break it in slow and easy.
Slowly.
Because something like that shouldn't be lost. And PEC, I mean, they're never going to admit to something like that. But
never.
You would have told me, you know, out of the 11 type of Sasquatch, And this did happen up in your area, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Out of the 11 type of Sasquatch, you've got about 6 different types that roam your type of area in Canada.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that it was possibly one of the, I can't remember the one, what type of Sasquatch, but it's got a certain name to it.
Oh, the
It's a long face and a
type
horse
3.
long face.
Think maybe a type 3 you're thinking of, maybe.
I just, I don't have it here. I probably have it in the office upstairs, and over
I do
here
know.
I have pictures of the dog man,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
and you'll see this one here that looks like a Sasquatch, but it's a dog man that they say,
Okay.
which I don't think is a dog man. I think that's a Sasquatch.
I think it's a Sasquatch as
They
well.
lumped it in. I don't know why, but just like there's the 7 types of dog man, there's 11 types of Sasquatch.
Yeah.
There is a Squatch that has a longish face.
Long face. Yeah.
And I'm saying that the only other thing that would have a horse-like face is a New Jersey Devil. And
Right.
I'm sorry, I investigated that for over 6 years, and I kind of investigated it to the point where I found what I thought it was, and I'm satisfied. It's not a real type of a cryptid. But that thing you're talking about, we got to look that up. If
Yeah.
I knew you were going to bring that up, that story, I would have researched it. Because
Yeah.
definitely, I think it's a type of Sasquatch. And just like a gorilla will walk around, and also paddle around with its front. Yeah. Just like that. These things are so massive, and their arms, this type of Sasquatch, the arms are so long that it pulls it forward. So yeah, I would figure if it's eating or grazing, grabbing a bunch of berry bushes or something, or some leaves, it's going to stand up. And he may have come across it when it was eating. And then instead of a bluff charge, it did a full-blown charge.
Full-blown charge, yeah.
And he lit it up. Like
he lit it up.
Like
good thing he had experience with a weapon and had experience with combat, because he probably would not have kept his composure.
No, the man definitely had combat experience.
Absolutely.
And he was probably stood there with his fellow soldiers back in Vietnam and repelled attacks. You got to admit, something like that is horrifying. So he just stood, and he was alone, right?
He was all by himself, and we're talking a very credible gentleman, just a straight up guy, a beast. Even at his age now, we're talking, over 6 foot, still 200 plus pounds, just put together, and just a guy that's not afraid of anything, but this scared the living hell right out of him.
You're not gonna feel well if 10 years or so down the line you still didn't go talk to this man, and he passes on. And I mean, hell, he might show you that Polaroid. He might even give you, that the Ziploc bag with the finger in it. I mean, can you imagine having something like that?
Yep.
I got something for you though. I mean, on this show, and you told everybody what the name of our show is, right?
Absolutely.
All right. And one more time, this way, because I got a point to make. On the trail.
Oh, okay. On the Trail in Search of Living Legends, season 4, episode 1.
Right. Now, we want to also on this show, because we're going to do things different. We're going to talk about all kinds of cryptids and everything, but also we're going to give you tips how to go field investigate, how to safely do it first aid, and also tips about when you do find something, you don't go to the Smithsonian Institute because you'll never see it again.
Nope.
Do not go to the DEC because you'll never see it again.
Never.
Don't report it to your local forest ranger and give it to them because you'll never see it again. I want to give everybody a tip, and I don't know if you're ready. You probably know this already. I'm just telling you something I know. But you can now, because of the DNA testing, you and I can get tested DNA. Vets, the local vets now have ways to test the DNA of your pet. You bring this to your local vet. You don't even have to say, I found this Sasquatch finger and I want to get it tested. If that man gave you that finger, if I was you, I would take a part of it, just a little piece, put it in a bag and say, I want to get this tested to see what kind of dog I have.
It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to hear what they had to say, wouldn't it?
Oh my God. He'd come back and say, where are you keeping this thing? What are you feeding? Oh my
Big animal you got there.
Yeah, well, getting back to your question, what I think it is, I think it's a type of Sasquatch.
Okay.
Because
I can buy that. Yeah.
Sasquatch doesn't mean it runs around on 2 feet all the time.
No, absolutely not. Matter of fact, I've learned over the years they seem to run faster on all fours.
Yeah, I mean they're going along,
Yeah, absolutely.
The dog
Absolutely.
is the only one that I've read about, researched to the bone that actually loves to run on 2 legs. And it's like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
It's like, it reminds me of a story I was researching a few days ago. And this, I'm trying to get what state it was in, because it was near an old silver mine.
Arizona? Would that have been?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Arizona. You may have read the same report I did. The fellow was out with 4 other people. One of the guys got bit by a snake. His wife was one of the people with him. So the wife went with one of the guys back with the husband, and they took him back on the horse, and he wanted to continue out there to get pictures.
Okay.
Big into photography, and he wanted to get pictures of this mine. And it's getting dark, and he says, gee, I better be returning. They're all on horse. And these people can ride a horse as well as we can drive a car. So, I mean, he had no problem being out there on his horse. And it was getting dark, and it's getting dark fast. He's riding back, and he hears in the scrub brush, there was a certain type of tree. Starts with was it a Jeremiah tree?
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't think of it. Jericho. Yeah.
It was a Jericho tree, and he's hearing this noise and this growl. He looks over, and his horse just made the decision for him. His horse took off. It was getting skittish. He grabbed the pommel, he grabbed the reins, and he is riding with the horse, and he's hearing something, and this thing is keeping pace with him. It's keeping pace with the man and the horse. And I don't know, I guess horses can go, what, 40 miles an hour?
Oh, yeah.
But this horse was in a panic, and he was going, and he was going, and this thing was keeping pace, and he swears to me it was not on 4 legs.
Done 2.
No, I said, maybe it was a wolf. He goes, no. He goes, it was on 2 legs, and it was keeping pace with us. And he could see it. He could see it. He could see this thing 25 or so feet away, because they were on a dirt road, a very well used dirt road, and this thing was on the grassed area or whatever the heck's out there, running through cactus and stuff like that. And he says this thing just kept up with us, and he's spurring his horse to go even faster. And this horse is like, hey man, no problem. It was afraid.
Sure. And that brings up a good point. Listen to your animals.
Yes, sir.
They always know when something's up.
But a second point, don't take your animal into the forest with you.
Right, exactly.
You're only going to draw things. And the third point is don't gift. Don't gift dogs. Don't gift Sasquatch. Don't gift anything. By gifting people, I mean, don't put food out for these.
Right. First of all, I think it's unfair to them, because I had a case. I still get years ago. I had this buddy in high school. He used to bust my chops. Hey, seen any Sasquatch lately? We'd be at the bar having a drink, and he just bust my chops. Well, he ends up inheriting a house from his grandmother. in a very active area. We're the same place, the same area I got hit by the infrasound. So he's wondering, you know, he moved in and all, and he's wondering why he had these, you know, 7, 8, 9 foot biped creatures running around his house, pounding on his walls, screaming, you know, jumping on his roof. So he calls me and he says, Jeremiah, I think I have a problem out here. So yeah. I go out. I said, you definitely got a group around here. And so we go and we talk to his father. Well, his father and him were on very good terms. But I said, listen, if you know something, you got to say something so I can help him deal with this issue, you know. Well, turns out the old lady, the grandmother, had been feeding a group of Sasquatch for 30 years.
Oh, my God.
So when he got there, it was like cutting him off cold turkey. Cutting an addict off cold turkey, and it pissed him off, you know.
Just like the lady I told you about, where we found the 15-foot Sasquatch. Just like her, she was putting apples out on a tree stump in her backyard, way far in her backyard. She got 100 by 100 foot square backyard, mowed beautifully, but there was a tree that was cut down towards the back, 3 feet off the ground left. Nice big tree. She would put apples there.
Yeah.
And never miss a day. And like I've told you in the past, she left for 4 days to take care of her sick parents. She came back home and her garbage area was ripped apart. And her garbage area was a fenced in area with 4x4s that were sunk 42 inches down, because New York has a 42-inch frost line.
Yes.
42 inches down, ripped right out of the ground.
Right out of the ground.
Ripped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there was a gate. 5 of them ripped out of the ground, thrown all over they were pissed. She wasn't there. She wasn't, I mean, I was like, and she's telling me it was a dog man that was her problem. It was Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Problem was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dog man would like be going, I want meat, you know, give me a.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, she was putting apples, and they love that stuff. I mean, it's sweet.
They love it.
Remember, Sasquatch eat leaves. They eat the berries, just like bears. They eat berries.
Just like bears. Omnivores.
Oh, berries. People got to understand that. People say, "Oh, bears love honey." Well, yeah, they love honey when they can get it, but they go for the berries, and that's where a bear will come into a combative situation with a dog man, because the dog man is also out there for that fruit. You know, that sweet fruit. They're not into the apples like the people will leave. People usually leave the green apples out there. You know, they're kind of tart.
Yeah.
We'll go for the sweet fruit. A dog man will go for that. And that's where, you know, they're going to come in contact with them. And they'll come, I don't know, I haven't read many reports. I don't know about you, but a bear coming, going at it with a Sasquatch. I've never read that, actually.
I did read one in a book about 15 years ago, to be honest with you, and I do not remember the details, but that is the only one that I've ever read, that I've ever heard about.
Well, there's one thing, Sasquatch also like berries, and bears love berries, so maybe it was a food squabble.
Or it could have been over a carcass or whatever. I mean, because they do eat meat too, you know. I mean, you know, could have been over anything. Young, both protecting their young at the same time. Could have been a lot of things.
I gotta admit, it's going on 24 years now of doing research on cryptids.
Yeah.
I've never read one about a bear Sasquatch encounter, only the dog man encounter, but wow. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of articles, things that I've read and come across it, but you're right. I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah, just then, like I said, it was just that one, you know, just that one article I read. It was in a book. I don't even remember what the name of the book was. It was so long ago now, 15, 16, 17 years ago.
My research shows that, to me anyway, that I would think a Sasquatch would be faster and craftier than a bear.
I would think so too.
You know, I was watching this one YouTube show on bear attacks, And this one grizzly, it from zero, it went from 0 to 50 in like 4 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
They measured the speed, and it was going after a deer, and it got up to 50 miles an hour.
It's crazy. Their weight must help carry them. You know what I'm saying with the
Propel it, yeah.
propel it? I don't know. That's fast.
The raw power, I mean, a black bear
Ooh.
is 10 times stronger than a man. I would imagine a brown bear or a grizzly would probably be about 12, 14 times stronger. I mean, we're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
a lot of strength.
A lot.
But the speed, I couldn't believe it. And the guy that was photographing this videoing it rather, he was like, this is unbelievable. He goes, it got up to 50 miles an hour.
Fast too. Like got up there quickly.
It's a so once again, let's instruct people that actually might listen to this that people, a bear is fast. You know,
Yes.
it's going to be on you in a matter of seconds. And if you are armed, you're going to have to stand and deliver. And please don't tell me you got a 38 or a 22 or a 223 even, you know. If it's not a 6.62 by 51 with a 200 grain bullet, and I'm specifying a 200 grain bullet, you know, or maybe a Glock 10 millimeter with a 200 grain bullet. If it'll kill a bear, it'll kill a cryptid, is the way I always look at it.
That's how I look at it too.
And unless it's a 15-foot, 3,000-pound Sasquatch,
Right.
in which case, unless you hit it, and who even knows if it'll work? I mean, it's got to go through the eyeball. Yeah,
you better have a big 40 cal, 416 Rigby or 460
cal.
Or 50 cal. Yeah, exactly.
I would love to have a Macmillan 50 cal out there, you know, with a nice 10-round magazine. Plus, I'm going to put one in the chamber, so 11 rounds because I want all the advantage I can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus a 15-foot, 3,000-pound creature, and it's attacking you. Oh man,
that's massive. I still can't get over that. That is absolutely.
I know we debated that question, you know, early last year for a lot, and I mean, they found one in Alaska. You know, the footprints were 16 feet apart. You know, when walking 16 feet, what the hell?
That's unreal. My buddy used to go to a native friend of mine. We'd go up to Manitoba every year, and he'd do some research, and one he would come back and talk about was 13 feet, and it was leaving 22-inch tracks.
Now that is good. I'm glad you said that because I was on a radio talk show program one time. I mean, one of these big deal ones that reach 3 million, 5 million people. And he was interviewing me, and he asked me about the biggest Sasquatch footprint that I've ever, you know, heard about. And I told him, I said it was 21.8 inches long.
Yeah.
And he goes, what? I go, yeah, 21.8 inches long. He goes, that's unheard of. I can't believe it. I said, please. They made a cast of it. They took pictures of the cast. They took pictures of the imprint in the ground.
Yeah.
I said, you know, these are researchers out there that's all they do is they research Sasquatch and Bigfoot. And I said, you asked me for the biggest one, and that's it. You know, I mean,
he got to his camp, and this thing had busted in, and it took, you know, it was old coal, old pot stoves that burn coal.
Yeah.
Pretty damn heavy. Well, this thing picked it up and whipped it right through the wall like a torpedo. To do that, you gotta have hands to do that. You know,
100 pounds. I mean, the old round pot-belly cast iron.
Yes. Oh. Threw it like a torpedo through the wall.
Man.
People were telling me, it was a bear. It was a bear bull.
Yeah, right. A bear's gonna.
Yeah.
Bear's gonna pick it up and
whip it. Yeah, exactly.
That thing is not only heavy, but they got it bolted into the ground usually, the planks, right?
Exactly. Yep.
It's like, no, I don't. I can't see a bear. I mean, a bear could, if it knew how, but
if it knew how. But it takes a thought
it
process.
doesn't have the thought process. You're right.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh my God. It just
Well, Nick, we've been man, we've been going a while.
really. What time is it anyway? 9 o'clock. Wow. Oh yeah, we're at least we're on the same time zone. A lot of people I talk to, I'm an hour they're an hour
Oh
early,
yeah, we're
2 or 3 hours.
our partners. Nate and them are they're 3 hours behind us.
3 hours, yeah. I mean, it's six
But
o'clock in Washington State right now, so it's like,
exactly. I thought we had a pretty good discussion tonight, man.
yeah.
It felt great to be back.
Oh, it is great to be back. Like I said, you look great, and I hope you keep it up, man.
I will, buddy. I will. I will. So we on for next week or what?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. We'll talk some. We'll do each week. We'll give tips and tricks and field investigation type of tricks out there. I've got some stuff that the military uses to recon an area.
Okay.
Where they go, and I would like to spread that out to the people. I have no problem giving people the knowledge that I have, because I want them to be safe out there.
Sure. I agree.
Like I always say in every show, make sure when you're walking, look up.
Look up. I don't think people look up enough.
And when you're out there in the forest, please take some bear spray with you. I mean, keep insurance. If anything, at least bear spray.
At least bear spray. Yeah.
I've seen pepper spray work against an alligator. I've seen it work against bear. If it'll work against that, it should work against a cryptid because it has to breathe. It has eyes. It has to be. I like to think out of the box and think that even if it was an alien, alien life, a Sasquatch or maybe an alien, if it still has to see and it still has to breathe, and if it does bleed, because I've read accounts where they do bleed.
They do bleed, yeah.
So if it bleeds, it's going to be affected by the hot pepper.
Absolutely.
So bring that with you. It shoots out in a conical shot. But like I said, every week, what I'd like to do, from now on, because we did Sasquatch and Dogman today.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about 2 or 3 different cryptids that people don't normally hear about.
Okay.
I'll research some different cryptids that have come up in my email or anybody writing me letters or call me about. I'll research the little suckers that people are not well known, like the Pope Lick monster or the Goat Man.
That sounds good to me, man.
Actually, they're one and the same. One's from Maryland. Pope Lick is from Maryland, and I think the
one's from Kentucky.
Yeah. So we can discuss those things in background and stories on them. And
sounds
even other
great.
ones that people don't even think about or talk about.
And I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of that guy.
Oh man, oh jeez.
I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of him.
You gotta, do yourself a favor. And I know it's sneaky, but he may not want you to tape him, but you might want it for memory.
Yes.
Get one of those pens that can record.
Yep.
Cheap on Amazon.
Yeah.
Keep the pen in there and
just for research purposes.
It'll tape it. What?
Just for research purposes, for knowledge. And
you don't have to play it on the show.
No, but
captured everything he said. And maybe you have to get the one with the little camera, because like it's a pen and it goes here. It records video and audio. And even if he won't let you take it, you get a picture of it.
Maybe, right, exactly.
You and I could share it privately and not do anything else with it.
Right. Well, Nick, that was great, man. It was great to see you. How can people get a hold of you if they have any questions or anything?
Well, they could go on Facebook and look us up on the North American Dogman Project.
Okay.
I'm in Region 3, so it would be Region 3. You could just look me up. I've been on your show, for what, year and a half now?
Year and a half, almost 2 years spent.
And I've been on a lot of other shows. Let me throw out there. I just opened up a state chapter with a friend of mine. And I cannot pronounce your last name, Hannah, but I'll try it. Lawhorn, or Lawhan, Lawhan. Her first name is Hannah. She is my co-administrator for the West
Okay.
Virginia North American Dogman Project state chapter. So that's a
Okay.
state chapter. You guys have a state chapter in New York. We don't have one in New Jersey. One of my buddies, John Miller, opened a state chapter up in Maine. I know there's a Wisconsin state chapter. You know, the more state chapters they have, the more members we can get. We can spread the word. We can spread the knowledge.
Sure.
We
Sure.
can information. But Hannah is a young woman. She's an up and coming cryptozoologist. I'd like to have her on the show with us sometime.
Absolutely, it'd be a pleasure.
She's getting a new video cam. I'd like to have her on. Very knowledgeable. She's reading cryptozoology books like crazy because I want her to be versatile.
Sure.
Trying to instruct her in different stuff, but she's very curious, and that's the big thing with the cryptozoologist is you want to have a curious mind. I'm trying to make sure that she's careful and prep her on those things, you know, not to go out there, you know, into the woods alone and everything. And she's already had a couple of incidents happen, and she does live out in West Virginia, and that's
Active area.
the Mothman, you
Yeah.
know. So that's a big thing there, and she'll be giving us some good info from there. And I hope
Sure.
to have her on a couple of shows, yours, DA Roberts show, and a couple other things. Anyway, you got a lot of plans going for 2022.
Yep. Same here. Awesome. I'm glad to be back. Glad to have you back, Nick. And
All right, brother, it's so good to see you, man. I'm telling you, this is
it's a
great.
pleasure, bud.
Say hello to your wife for me, and
Will do. Will do, and I will definitely see you next week, buddy.
all right, same
All right,
time
Nick.
next week. I'll talk to you
Have-
before then. Okay.
What's that? Bud? Yeah, that for sure.
All right.
All right, Nick. Have a good night, bud. Have a good night, everyone out there. Thanks for watching.
Take care.